As we turn our attention to the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, which has now moved off the coast of Florida, recovery efforts are underway across the state. More than 3 million people are without power, and officials say that around 31,000 residents are staying in nearly 150 shelters around the region after Hurricane Milton plowed into Florida at Category 3, bringing 120-mile-per-hour winds. Now, to talk more about this, I am bringing in Dave Margolin. He is the chief meteorologist for our parent company, the Intercontinental Exchange. Now, Dave, let's talk about the latest update. What do you know at this moment?
Yeah, so I think right now what we're seeing is a combination of recovery and still rescue operations. There's still quite a few people who are stranded and who need help, and so we're seeing that. And I think that's likely to continue probably still for the next couple days. But yet, fortunately now the hurricane and the impacts from the hurricane are largely out to sea. So we are seeing the recovery efforts starting too. At this point, it seems like what we're seeing is more an assessment of what's going on, conditions on the ground, i.e. how soon can they open the port of Tampa, the airports. I am hearing some things that they may open the airport by later this week. And of course, the major sort of arteries that go through Tampa and the I-4 sort of corridor in general.
Now, Milton is one of the most powerful hurricanes in history. But what makes Milton unique to other hurricanes that we've seen, including Hurricane Helene that made landfall just a few weeks ago?
Yeah, so there's a number of things that really made this storm unique and unfortunately uniquely bad for Central Florida. It was one of the most, it intensified at one of the quickest rates we've ever seen in Atlantic Basin history. It was also, or it is, one of the strongest hurricanes that we've ever seen in Atlantic Basin history. And also the fact that we've seen so many landfalls is a sort of a unique characteristic, not just of this storm, but of the season as a whole. We've now seen 5 hurricanes make landfall along the U.S. coast and 3 in Florida. This ranks as amongst the most active that we've seen in terms of making landfall for the U.S. and Florida.
Now, I do want to talk about the product that we offer through Ice Connect, and it allows people to actually track forecasts in real time. Talk to me more about this.
Yeah, so it's important to note that on ice data or ice weather data, we have not only the history where you can find the history of the storms and the impacts they're having, but also the forecast. And so, for example, and I think we're going to bring up here a slide, where you can see the winds for Tampa, the wind gusts for Tampa and Sarasota. And you can see in Tampa, the winds were over 80 miles an hour, Sarasota over 100 miles an hour. And what's also stands out in this chart is that you can see the winds actually stop in Sarasota. That's not because the data wasn't a technical problem. It was because the equipment there was actually destroyed because of the strength of the storm.
But you know, another thing that that the Ice Connect offers is the fact that you can see, or the projections of potential hurricanes that are potentially on the way. Is that correct? That's
right. We've got the forecast data and the maps so that you can kind of see, 10, 15 days into the future. And looking ahead, it does seem like, we're not quite out of the woods yet in terms of the hurricane season. October notoriously is still a busy month, and some of the model guidance that we have on our platform does suggest that there could be some things to watch here as we go into late next week.
Do you have an idea of how many hurricanes that we could be anticipating at this time utilizing that platform?
Well, what I can say is that usually after October, things do start to slow down. So, we've got basically another 2 or 3 weeks to kind of worry about. The other thing that we can say about the back half of October is usually the sort of the climatology of the tracks start to change such that, and this is kind of unfortunate, but usually when you do see tracks or hurricanes influence the U.S. In late October, it tends to be across southern Florida.
A lot of important information right there. Thank you, Dave, for joining me today.